All right. Hello and welcome everyone to an apparently needed new video series. And I sure hope it's not a series, but this is Explain Like You're 5. So, in this video, I am going to assume the viewer has the comprehension level of a 5-year-old, and we're going to explain a few things that should be obvious to everyone who has the capability to ask the questions that were proposed below the Fulmin video. Starting with a question that is fair. This was feedback, and unfortunately, it is actually completely my mistake that I did not talk about it, and that is that the primary fire on the Fulmin is silent. This is, of course, as pointed out in the comments, very good on Warframes like Avara, who need to stay invisible and have to use silent weapons to do that. So, apologies. That was actually in a previous cut of the video, but I totally skipped over it in the cut that I decided to keep. Just totally skipped the bullet point I had in my notes. Apologies for that. A legitimate mistake. Now, everything else here, let's get into it. So this is the Fulmin build that I showed off in the Why Would You Use, and people had a number of questions. The first question was, why viral? Now, I just assumed, unfortunately, that people would understand what I was using this weapon for, because I stated it pretty clearly. This weapon, I was using it to kill things instantly with the primary fire, like wipe out entire hallways, just kill them all. And then I was using the secondary fire to take out nullifier bubbles. And it's very good for that. I stated as much in the Why Would You Use. Now, this is on viral because if I shoot once and something does not die, if it gets a viral proc, the chances that it survives the second shot at the usual level of enemies in Warframe is exceedingly low. Exceedingly low chances. With that, the question was also put on top of that, why am I not using Hunter Munitions? And the reason that Hunter Munitions is not in this build is because that mod is not relevant to pretty much all of the content in Warframe that people are actually going to do. For those that are not aware, it's actually really, really hard to even find people that go past round 4 in Elite Sanctuary Onslaught. And there's not this huge million players that all go hours and endless. That's not how that works. So if you would like to see some higher level stuff, yeah, you would absolutely put in Hunter Munitions. You could even actually add an additional forma to put in the full Toxin mod here, and then have Hunter Munitions with the full highest power 2 elementals that you could use. You could absolutely do that. Absolutely a thing. And in fact, since people for some reason want to see a higher level test, we're going to do a higher level test. But here's the thing about a higher level test. The reason that I test the way I do in Why Would You Use videos is because I use this Excalibur build. This Excalibur build, as you can very clearly see for anyone who knows how to build a Warframe, is not actually particularly good. It's not an Excal build. This is a general survivable enough, not even tanky build for Excalibur. You can get away with running around like this, and I think that most players in Warframe are going to run around with a build that well enough works. They're playing as a frame that they like. They haven't thought too much about the mods. They're just throwing it in. Maybe they don't have high level mods. They don't have their corrupted mods. A bunch of players are this way, and I think it's very helpful to show off a weapon in an environment where I have to use not an insanely good Warframe that people generally do not fucking have access to. However, if we'd like to show off what high level gameplay actually looks like, heavy fucking quotation marks on that, let's just switch over to an actual gameplay build. Let's just throw Chroma at it. If you want to see how the Fulmin performs at high levels, then we'll just throw Chroma at it. Everyone has access to a 300% plus power strength Chroma Prime. For sure they do. Absolutely. Let's just 100% assume that and then see how the Fulmin performs. Also, worth noting, if you are going to extremely high levels of enemies that have armor, and you're not running a full stack of players with corrosive protection, then I don't know what you're doing or why you're bothering. Actually, back that up a step. I don't know why you're bothering to go that far anyway. There's no rewards for that stuff, so there's no reason for me to show that kind of thing to people who are just never gonna have any reason to do that kind of shit. Moving on, let's show this test. We're just gonna, like, it's just gonna be bumped up level 165. Why? Because fuck it, I'm in a full stack chroma, and pretty much any weapon that can do kind of anything is more than enough here, because I'm using chroma. So like, there's that. That's just like pretty much how it's gonna go. Like, enemies are gonna shoot me, I'm gonna have an extremely large damage buff. Against enemies like this, I'm just gonna switch to the alt fire and shoot them in the head. And then Hunter, this is where Hunter munitions comes in, because I'm, for some reason, against a bunch of enemies without having a full party to have curse projections. Also, we are just gonna use our operator to heal, because everybody definitely has multiple sets of elevate. That's just how that works. Yeah, let's just show the absolute most, like, bread and butter, boring possible thing. Like, does it work? Yeah, sure. Is this like how chroma's gonna work at like a very high level? Yeah. Like, this is, you can just do this. You can do this at this level of enemy. They have absolutely no chance, really, as long as you know what you're doing. You can just walk up to them and shoot them in the head. It's absolutely a thing you can do. They stand no chance whatsoever. I am not weak enough to need to worry about my positioning at all. I have enough damage where enemies do not pose a threat, even though they are like extremely hard to kill, because I also have an extremely large amount of damage that I'm adding to myself because I'm using an appropriate Warframe for what I am trying to accomplish. That's how Warframe works. It turns out it's not a very hard game whenever you just do things in a way that solves the problem. However, the why would you use videos are structured so that you can tell what the weapon is doing by itself, coupled with things you have access to on every single Warframe, which is running around. So yeah, that is the first and hopefully last edition of Explain Like You're 5. I hope this was extremely thorough and not needing any further explanation, except for the final question, which was only asked by one person, but I have a very specific response for it, and that is that I didn't fully max out the Fulmin because I needed to add more forma and a ribbon to it for it to be fully maxed out. And the only thing I have to say to that person is fuck you. Goodbye, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully this has been enlightening to those of you that cannot suss out the meaning of things whenever you see a build, and for some reason are still able to ask questions like, why are you using this specific damage type that most players don't even know what it does? So yeah, goodbye everybody.